The obstacle that stops you from closing the sale is more on the salesperson than it is on the prospect. Salespeople need to understand that if they take care of these two major obstacles, their ability to close will be at a much higher level. We started our series we started the last video, we looked at the first obstacle, and we're going to conclude on the second obstacle today. If you haven't watched the first video, you may want to watch that video as well. My name is Iyore. I train over 24,000 salespeople across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books on sales, and I've been featured on lots of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked in an organization where I was given a target to sell to 20 high net worth individuals, and I was able to bring in 21 high net worth individuals in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I moved to another organization where I was able to double my portfolio by over 100% in just 11 months. I'm CEO for Advantage, and our specialty is in Salesforce management, meaning we work with sales teams to help them optimize their results and to get their results achieved in record time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the psychology of selling as it pertains to crushing sales targets. Because when it comes to crushing sales targets, your psychology is 80% of your success. 80% of your success in crushing sales targets will come from your psychology. Only 20% will come from mechanics or strategy. And when we talk about 80% psychology, it is not psychology of the prospect, it's psychology of the salesperson. Now, the obstacles to closing the sale. The first obstacle we discussed was ignorance. No, the first obstacle was selfishness. Now, the second obstacle now, which is causing many from closing the sale, is ignorance. I hope you know that in the first video, we looked at the various ways selfishness is manifested. And we said selfishness is manifested through self-doubt, it's manifested through rejection, how you handle rejection, and we've looked at what these things are costing you. Then we looked at how you can resolve selfishness. Now, ignorance. Ignorance is manifested in 3 major ways. Knowledge of the product, first of all. Ignorance. See, if you don't know your products, it's almost impossible to sell it. I was at a session with a team the other day, and I was asking them, I said, hey, when you go in school, how did you learn your courses? People who finished with first class, was it luck or was it study pattern? I had the opportunity to follow a colleague in school to class to read. She was a first class student, and I followed her to watch how she studied, and I observed something. When she studied, she read her materials or the books. She would close her book, open another notebook, and write out all she had read. I noticed that while I studied with her, she spent most of her time trying to recall than she spent than reading. So most of her time in preparation or in class was trying to recall. But I spent most of my time studying and reading. Apparently, this was her advantage when she got into the examination hall. Because she spent more time recalling, she was able to deliver at a much higher level. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you now to do is this. When it comes to mastering your products, master your products in record time by spending more time trying to recall the benefits or features of your products. When you read your brochure, you read the material, shut it, close the book or close the manual or product brochure and start to write out all you know about your products till you can get it to at least 100%. This will save you time. This will save you time. How will it save you time? Because every time spent in planning saves you several hours in execution. So it saves you time to execute. This means that the time you spend trying to convince, trying to navigate through the sale, you will be able to get it done in record time. You'll be able to close sales a lot faster. Now, ladies and gentlemen, salespeople need to have a deep understanding of their product or service. The features, the benefits, the applications. Without this is where the struggle will be. Number 1, effectively communicates the value proposition. It will be difficult. You will struggle to effectively communicate the value proposition. If you don't know the product, you can't communicate the value effectively. Number 2, you will struggle to address customer concerns or objections. The concerns or objections that the customer would raise, without the knowledge of the products, they can't be addressed fully. Number 3, you will not be able to identify and pursue new sales opportunities. Your knowledge of the products helps you spot new opportunities, helps you pursue them with conviction because you understand what you're selling. There's something about knowing your products 100%. When you walk into the room, you know that anybody you speak to, they can't ask you a question you don't have answers to. For example, I'm a sales expert. When I walk into a room full of salespeople, it doesn't matter how experienced they are, I'm so confident that they can't ask me a question I don't have answers to because I talk about sales every day. I understand what I'm selling. So you need to understand what you're selling in the same way as well. The other area where ignorance is manifested, apart from knowledge of the products, is knowledge of the industry. Salespeople need to have a solid understanding of the industry, including trends, challenges, key players. Without this knowledge, this is where they will struggle. Number one, they won't be able to understand customer needs and pain points. If you don't understand the industry, to spot the customer needs and pain points at the deepest level would almost be impossible. Number two, you won't be able to develop effective sales strategies. I'll give an example. Do you know that sometimes the prospect comes and the prospect says, it's too expensive? Why are they saying it's expensive? Because they're trying to compare it with what they do. See, they're not in your industry. You're trying to sell maybe real estate, IT solutions, insurance. They're not in your industry. So they don't really know the basis of your pricing. Therefore, in their minds, they are thinking about what they sell or of how things are priced in their industry. And relative to your industry, they feel like, it's too expensive. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to educate them. Your knowledge of industry trends is what you would use to be able to educate them, to bring them up to speed about what exactly you do and what is the basis of your pricing. Remember, knowing your price keeps you on the job. Knowing the reason for the price is what gives you the promotion. So you must understand the price. It's not enough to know the price. Understanding the price is what gives you the advantage. And understanding the price will be based on your knowledge of the industry. When you know why we are priced the way we are priced, what comes together to form the pricing is what helps you educate the client. Do you know sometimes, for example, in real estate, somebody says this property is too expensive, this penthouse is too expensive. Do you know that at that point in time, you're supposed to do what we call a comparative analysis with the prospect and show them 3 beds in VI versus other 3 beds in VI. Our own 3 beds in VI, but look at the other 3 beds in VI. Do a comparative analysis. Do a comparative analysis. Buildings like this, of this number of floors within the premises, what are the pricing? What are they like? Versus what the value propositions are. Do a comparative analysis of properties from a certain location, maybe all the way from Chevron to Ikota to Ikoyi and so on. All the way down. Do an analysis. That way you're going to understand. That means you understand your industry and you're going to be able to educate them and help them make a decision. Then, if you don't know the knowledge of your industry, you won't be able to build credibility and trust with customers. People do business with you if they know you, they like you, and they trust you. So if you understand your industry well, you will be able to establish that trust in record time because of how you can speak and educate about your industry. There's something that happened to me a few years ago. I just finished running a training program for an insurance company. While I was seated, somebody walked up to me and she was trying to sell to me a kiddies, maybe something for my kids, trying to sell. But I wasn't convinced, honestly. I didn't really feel what she was saying. And I think she was just trying to tell me, okay, this is the product, this is the product, this is the product. She didn't apply selling skills. Apparently, I just tried to dismiss her somehow, Then, while I was waiting somewhere at the training room, I observed somebody was talking. And he was analyzing what was going on in the insurance industry. He was analyzing so deeply and so intelligently. I felt like, wow. I actually walked up to him and I said, can you tell me about this particular package for kids? What the lady was telling me about. Now, notice, she was trying to sell me the product. He was only educating on the industry. But that got my attention and now made me want to ask about that product or service. To show you the power of how knowledge of your industry establishes you and builds your credibility. When I was in the bank, my bosses would tell us then, he would say, what is the MPR right now? What is the CRR? All these acronyms he would be asking us because he felt like if we could understand those terms and how those things impact on our interest rates and what we use or our fees or what we charge our clients, if we understand what's happening in the industry and how it impacts our pricing, we will have the advantage in the marketplace. Remember, in selling, the battle is not brand versus brand. The battle is salespeople versus salespeople. If our salespeople are better than their salespeople, our results will be better than their results. So we've looked at knowledge of products, knowledge of the industry. Now, the third place where ignorance is manifested, and this is an obstacle to closing the sale, is knowledge of selling. So this means that salespeople need to have a deep understanding of the sales process. You need to have a deep understanding of prospecting, qualifying, closing. Without this knowledge, you'll struggle. Where will the struggle come from? ability to effectively prospect and qualify leads. I was at a session with the sales team the other day. This guy had just joined the team apparently, and he was giving some courses to take. And I said, okay, have you taken the courses you're supposed to take? He said, yes, he had. Apparently, we have our own program, the Ultra Franchise Sales Academy, where we onboard salespeople so that they can hit the ground running. But the clients had not yet paid for our onboarding program. This was just more like an introductory to the business and to understand what the salespeople were going through. So I said, okay, they already had a current program they were taking, right? A training on prospecting and lead generation. So I said, your program you were supposed to take by the company, HR gave you to take. Have you taken the program? He said, yes. Okay, walk me through. How have you been able to, what did you learn? How have you been able to put it to work? He said he learned about prospecting and lead generation, how to be able to, the importance of going out for events. I said, okay, have you gone out for events? He said, yes. I said, good. So at the events, how many leads did you get? He said he got 2 leads. I said, okay, that's fine. So tell me, what did you say when you got to the event? Based on the course, what were you told to say when you get there so that you can be able to engage at a much higher level? With the way I was asking questions in detail, he ended up confessing. He said, actually, I didn't go through that course in detail. I just scanned through it. And I said, you see, that's why for the past 3 months, he had not been able to even close the sale. So now my point in this, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that if you don't understand selling skills, you will be trying to wing it, trying to find a way to just navigate the conversation somehow and get to close. It's just going to be like a guesswork. And selling is a process. The more scientific you approach selling, the more you can predict the outcome. So you won't be able to prospect effectively and qualify leads effectively if you don't know how to sell. If you don't know how to sell, you find out that most of the time, if you don't have the knowledge of selling rather, you find out that most of the time, when you get to the end of the conversation, what you would hear is, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Let me talk to my spouse first. I'll get back to you. Okay? You will find out that they will be posting you. Clients will be ghosting you, posting you. Whereas the issue was that you don't know how, you've not learned how to qualify accurately. You must spend more time qualifying than you spend trying to sell. Qualify hard, sell easy. Then another area you will struggle if you don't have knowledge of selling is you won't be able to develop and deliver a compelling pitch. When it's time to communicate value, with proper selling skills, you will know the difference between your primary features and secondary features. You will know that you're supposed to communicate from primary features all the way into secondary features. Because your primary features talk about what you have in common with your competition, your secondary features talks about your difference. And in sales, we do not sell our similarities. What do we sell? We sell our differences. Nobody will buy from you because of your primary features, but they will buy from you because of your secondary features. Another thing you may struggle with if you don't know how to sell or you don't have knowledge of selling is your ability to handle objections and close deals. An objection is not a denial. An objection doesn't mean the client is not interested. Rather, an objection means the client is actually, or the prospect is actually interested, but is asking for more information so that a buying decision can be made. If you don't have that information, you don't have that knowledge, how would you handle objections and close deals? It won't be impossible. So ladies and gentlemen, these three areas of ignorance: product knowledge, industry knowledge, selling knowledge, you have to cover these gaps immediately so that you won't have obstacles to the sale. Therefore, because you see, when you make the sale, first sale, second sale, third sale, you're getting closer to being able to achieve that target, to crush that sales target that's before you. How do you overcome this ignorance as a salesperson? First of all, invest in your training and development. Continuously update your knowledge and skills. And that's how we have this platform here on YouTube. Every day, if you come on this platform, you go through our courses or go through the videos, you'll be learning a lot on what you can do to update your selling skills and your ability to close. Secondly, conduct thorough research. Sales managers, every week, at least have a time, once a week, where you get 2 people from your team to talk about specific industry trends, so that everybody in the team is educated and improved about the industry. Don't leave it to chance. Industry trends, customer needs, market development, something must be, these are the topics that must be discussed every week in your team. Then seek feedback and coaching. Ask for feedback. The managers should give their people feedback. If you're a manager listening to me right now, give your team feedback. Check their ability to close. Do role plays. From time to time, even if you're not a manager, you're a salesperson, when you engage prospects, look at what you need to do differently. Don't criticize yourself. Find out, I like the fact that I could qualify. I like the fact that I asked questions. I spoke boldly. okay, what am I going to do differently in my next meeting? Constantly review what you did. Every time you engage a prospect, you're supposed to close. It's not supposed to be that if you close, you'll be like, wow, I closed today. No. Closing is supposed to be normal. Whereas it should be that if you didn't close, you should check, okay, how come I didn't close? Okay, I did this right, I did that right. What areas am I going to improve on in my next engagement so that I can close? And finally, develop a sales process. So to overcome this ignorance, we should have a sales process which is a consistent steps, a consistent set of steps you always follow to move to close the deal, to move towards the closing of the deal. Then that way you can have predictable outcomes and be able to establish yourself as an expert and meet sales targets consistently. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you haven't liked, please like if this video blessed you. Comments, let me know which of the parts of you like the most from today's video. Please share this video with others, that will also be great. If you haven't watched this video here, please watch this as well. It's been a good blessing to you. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.